What's up, everybody? It's Tyler. Let's get into this. I know the title of the thing is called What is the Best Show on Netflix? By that, I mean, what is running? I've already done a show of the best 10 TV series of the decade. This is what's going currently on Netflix. I know a lot of people are kind of sequestered, cloistered, cordoned off, quarantined. So maybe you're looking to have something to look at through the screen that goes into your eyes and affects your emotional tract. Which isn't a thing, but I just made it up. Your emotional tract. It's right past the larynx. Anyways, best show, The Last Kingdom. Season 4 is coming, I think. Well, I don't know. I'm not a TV executive. And it's on the internet, though, that there is a new season coming. Why do I like The Last Kingdom? Okay. Great protagonist in this show. And probably the best protagonist name ever. Uhtred, son of Uhtred, is the name of our young hero. Great actor. Never seen him in anything before. And he's got a lot of charisma and just a swagger, which I think is lacking in a lot of young actors. And by young, I don't know how old the guy is. He could be 30, he could be 45, but, he's handsome guy with a sword, and he goes around. Anyway, what's it about? It's about the formation of England, which I think is a pretty fascinating subject. You got all these disparate kingdoms. You got Mercia, Wessex, East Anglia, Northumbria. Is Kent still around? I don't know. I like the history, and I like this historical fiction. This is basically about Uhtred, our main guy, and I guess the secondary protagonist, and who actually plays as antagonist sometimes, is the great King Alfred, who I think, if you're probably from England, you know all about him. Maybe they still teach that in schools. I knew about him because I'd read a couple things. I'd read the Saxon Chronicles, and he was a West Saxon king. So basically, England's this kind of a place of turmoil. So I think it's an interesting case study historically about how nations get formed, because you had the Britons, and then the Romans tried to invade. Caesar himself tried to invade. This is before the birth of Christ. Claudius, I believe, was the emperor that actually did get there. But so you got the Britons and Romans ruled, and you got Hadrian's Wall going up to Scotland, which separated Scotland kind of arbitrarily from the lower half of the island. And you got, of course, the Irish, and there's the Picts, and all kinds of stuff going on. But then you have the Saxon invasion, whatever you want to call it, after the Romans leave. Romans leave about the time-ish of the fall of the empire, so basically the 5th century. And Romans say, we're out of here. And they kind of leave all that stuff behind. Church kind of fills in. Anyway, so you got all these, like I said, different kingdoms with different agendas and identities, different different makeups. Some are Saxon. It's pretty integrated by the time of the show, which is, I think, probably around... It's roughly, loosely based on a real guy, but not really. This is... Uhtred's what he's going to do. He's going to play intermediary between the old and the new. You got the Saxons who've been there entrenched for 300-400 years. You got Christianity. He was born a Christian, but then his dad got killed, his uncle, whatever. I'm not going to ruin the series. But anyway, he gets raised by the Danes, who did invade at the time of Alfred. Alfred had to go through a series of wars and battles and stuff to kind of stave off this invasion of Danes, who were looking to do more than just, like the Saxons, looking to do more than just raid and pillage, like, Vikings of earlier times. They wanted to do all that stuff probably because, hey, that's fun for Vikings, and that's what Vikings do. But they also wanted to plant and have families and all that stuff and kind of become one with the land. Because really, England is a nice arable soil compared to Denmark and Norway. And I know this because I'm an expert in farming. But that's what this says in the books, so whatever. Okay, so we see Uhtred, and really what it is a parallel story of England finding its identity as Uhtred the man, who is a young man. He also is trying to find his identity. He is the embodiment of England. He is the... he was born a Christian Saxon, I believe, up in Northumbria. And then he... which I don't know where that modern day would be. Bedinburgh, I think, is where he was from. Whatever. I'm not an expert on England. Sorry. Newcastle area, maybe. I don't know. Comment how incorrect I am. Anyway, so he gets his dad gets killed by the Danes. He gets raised by the Danes and comes to love them, even though he's kind of a slave servant. Whatever, doesn't matter. They kind of adopt him. And this probably happened a lot back in the day. And falls for this girl-ish, but that's kind of secondary to the main thing. The main thing is that the only holdout at the time is Alfred. Alfred is the pensive, portrayed pensive king of Wessex, or he will become the king of Wessex. He was the second born, actually. His brother Ethelred or Uhtred or one of these Reds will die, as he did in real life, according to the books. Anyway, so as we get to watch Uhtred become a man, as England becomes what it will eventually be, which is a melting pot of sorts, but one that's like an arena of different warring tribes, ideas, religions. All obviously ultimately know what happens. Christianity will win out. But for this time, it's interesting to see the alliances that are formed and how these different peoples that we just assume all hate each other outright, thoughtlessly, they actually did kind of work a little bit together. Anyway, but the dramatic part of the show is really interesting, and it got me reinvigorated to rereading some of the stuff about the history of England, and that's the cool thing about historical fiction, why The Last Kingdom is a great watch. And it's exciting. The plot gets a little off the beaten once in a while, but most of the time it's always gonna set you back right on track. The guy that plays Uhtred's awesome. The guy that plays Alfred's awesome, and he's portrayed, I think, overly thoughtful and pensive and overly sickly. I don't think he was quite as sick as the show portrays, but I think that is drama is all about conflict and differences, and I think the difference there, you just have these bred-in differences between Uhtred, the warrior, young warrior, and Alfred, who's the thoughtful, let's see, I'm trying to form a kingdom here, not just get what I want for my own sake. So it's 3 seasons so far. I've enjoyed all of them equally. I just think it's the most consistent show on the flicks of net, and give Uhtred, son of Uhtred, a chance. The Last Kingdom, you'll learn something, and maybe it'll spur you on to want to learn something about England, which is cool. And I think America considers itself a melting pot, and that's what we were always taught in school. But I think England kind of is one too, and different waves of it, and it's very interesting. And that's what's cool about fiction, and that's what's cool about history. But when you combine them together, hey, you remember stuff instead of just forgetting it as raw facts. Anyway, this is Tyler Has Words. I hope you're very well. Please subscribe and like and do the buttons and the things, and I will keep making videos as long as that stuff keeps happening, because I like to do it, and I hope all are well out there. Cheers, and see you after.